Now, today's going to be a very exciting day, boys and girls, because we've finally done something that I, for some reason, was not able to do for about a year now. Of course, as always, I wanted to share it with you guys. Stick around while we talk about this amazing milestone and some updates on all of our breeders going in here coming into the 2024 breeding season at Dakota Blue Exotics. Let's get into it. To get into that milestone, I want to give some updates. The first one's probably sticking out like an eyesore, and that's going to be this thing right behind me. Dakota, what exactly is this? Well, boys and girls, we finally buckled up our bootstraps and we built a rack system for all of our breeders. This is only going to be 1 out of 2 instead of making an 8-foot by 2-foot rack, and it just would be a big pain in the ass bringing all the materials down here. I decided to actually cut the wood in half, so we're just going to have 2 4x2 rack systems instead. It's really awesome. It did okay. There are some issues. Actually, that video will be coming out next time, but it did its job. It's supposed to be a 6 tier, so there's supposed to be 1 more. But as I mentioned, there are some issues. It's actually going to have to be rebuilt. More on that in the other video. At the very least, it does get the job done. That's really what matters, right? We did end up putting all of the gargoyle gecko breeders and then the crested gecko breeders as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Such a time saver instead of having all these stacked 56 quart bins, 58 quarts, having to push all of them down to get to the one on the bottom. We no longer need to do that, and that's absolutely amazing. Fresh materials should be coming in at the end of the week, which means next week we'll have this one redone and a second one put in there, which brings us to our second update. The guy's right behind me again. The game plan moving forward right now is going to be this rack system is going to be dedicated to all of our gargoyles and then a couple of crested geckos that will be in here just to fill the rest of the slot up, while the second one will be utilized for all of the crested geckos that need grout enclosures. Everything on this shelf, excluding the shoebox bins of course, is going to be breeding in 2024 and will need an upgraded rack system or an upgraded tub system, housing system, whatever you want to call it. Very excited to get all of these guys into bigger homes. These smaller enclosures have really done the job in growing them out, making them put on mass at a much quicker pace than usual that I've noticed. If we're putting, sub-adults in a 58 quart, it's going to take twice as long as leaving them in this. But now that they are old enough, they're going to be breeder ready. We are going to finally move these guys into their forever homes, being the bigger enclosure size. About 90% of the animals here are going to go in 58 quarts. I think that little oil spill tiger is going to be the only one, just because he's still very small, somewhere around that 10 to 12 gram area. Definitely needs to be growing up a little bit more before he gets put into the bigger enclosure, but everything else here is going to be, instead of right here, in a rack system that'll be right beside me. Really getting down to the wire here to kick off the 2024 season. Well, we've kind of already done it with tokays and gargoyles, but we still got the crested geckos, which is the bulk of what we work with right now. So I think actually, maybe not the next video, but definitely next week, we are going to start talking about pairings. Which males are going to go with which females. It's something I really got to start writing down and getting ready for, because again, we're about 5 weeks off from the 2024 season for these crested geckos. We want to make sure we have everything done, everything's written down, and we know what pairings we're going to use for that year. Now, coming down here to our second update, you guys got a brief look at our new micro gecko rack system when we were reviewing these little Toxerium enclosures right here. By the way, link in the description right there if you guys want to buy these great mini enclosures, great quality, and for a steal of a price. At this point in time, it is not just Nucal and tokay geckos we are working with anymore. We got a small variety of micro geckos going on, and we'll be expanding a little bit more as the year and years go on. Something you guys might not have known of is we're actually working with morning geckos now. At the last show, I got a steal of a price on some of these guys, so we're working with 0.4 because morning geckos are all female. Well, I guess not all, with 3 of the, I can't remember the local off the top of my head, it's just like the normal gray ones, and we do have 1 Hawaiian one, which kind of looks like a Dalmatian, which I think is like really cool. I got like a micro Dalmatian gecko, which is awesome. I can't wait for these guys to start going. A little bit of a rare sighting seeing them out. Sometimes I see them, most of the time I don't, but if you start moving this cork over here, you'll start seeing them pop out for the most part. There's probably one of my most anticipated projects that I am just super excited for is going to be the Urodactylodes, man. Now, these guys are so close to hitting that breeder weight and that breeder age. I imagine probably February is when we're going to start pairing these guys, so we should definitely have eggs by the 2024 season for some micro geckos, not just morning, but also Urodactylodes. Also a couple of others which are a little bit on the fence of if they are going to be breeding for me in 2024. It just depends on if I can get some stuff in. That's going to be number 1, a male standing eye for my female to get more standing eye babies. Number 2 is going to be P. lineatus, the line date gecko. I need to source out a female for him. And then of course our halmaheras, I need a male for the 2 females that we have. Last but certainly not least to talk about for the updates over here are going to be our cave geckos. Now unfortunately it does not look like our growouts are going to be of size to breed in the next year, the 2024 season, which is, I'll say, a bit of a bummer, but there's no rush for me to breed cave geckos. You know, we're working with a small group over here. If just adding an extra female means somewhere it's going to be detrimental to her health, it's just not something we really want to do. So she's going to stick around, just focus on growing up a little bit more, and then hopefully 2025 she'll be of size where we can start breeding her. Don't worry, for our cave gecko enthusiasts that want to own a Dakota Blue Exotics cave gecko, we still have our paired, that little funky female that was the white stripes instead of yellow, paired with that normal male. Now, I've dug a little bit more into the white striping so far, and what I figured out is most likely what it is I got like, I guess a little bit swindled. So pretty much what a most common thing is well, really just not paramount to cave geckos, but most geckos in general. As they get older and older, their pigments or color pigments seem to die off a little more and more, which would be the most likely reasoning why this animal is white instead of yellow. I was personally told that the female is about 2 years old, but you know, they could have just said whatever they needed to say to make the sale. At the end of the day, you know, I'm not here chasing something that's probably not there, but we will have some cool cave geckos available next season. Here we've got our pair of Chihuahua geckos, which are doing fantastic, and then our Leachianus pair. They're definitely going to be of size to breed. They're really ready right now, but we just have, again, 5 weeks before we're going to pair them. These are actually going to be transferred over into that 2x2x2 that we usually keep the Super Red, and the Super Red's going to be actually having a new enclosure as well. Very excited. This will be the first time we'll be breeding Leachianus, and fingers crossed we can knock it out of the park and get some awesome Leachianus eggs for 2024. Finally, we are ready to talk about the big news. Now, there's a couple of things going on in this incubator right now. As you guys know, this thing's actually not going to turn off most likely. We're going to start getting gargoyle eggs somewhere around December with Andrew's geckos. Which means we still have about 5 eggs going on in here, so it's just going to stay on from 2023 throughout 2024, which is a little bit exciting for me. It's never happened before. Gargoyles actually did end up hatching out. I didn't think the eggs were good. We actually had a malfunction going on with this thermostat. Actually had to replace it, and it kind of spiked a little high around 82 degrees, which I thought was going to be lethal to the geckos. We ended up losing a clutch of Garg's eggs that were new. However, it looks like the older ones were able to survive, and we did hatch out one dude with another one on the way. Of course, we still have a couple crested gecko eggs that are here to hatch. Not 100% sure if they will or not. It's been a little bit, but as always, unless an egg is molding, I don't really throw it out. However, besides that, there are 2 more clutches of eggs that are not New Caledonian. It's of course something that for some reason we had a little bit of a bad luck run going on 2022, but it seems in 2023 on to 2024, we have finally fixed that issue. You probably already know what it is from the size of them. It is of course some tokay gecko eggs. Well, funny enough, while I was just about to do some B-roll, turns out I should put my money where my mouth is, because right here, a baby crested gecko just hatched. This is actually going to be a very interesting pairing, and probably one I'm going to hold back just because of the lineage behind it. Nothing special. This is actually our yellow quad stripe girl to Amo, the very first crested gecko I've ever had. So just because the lineage is very special, it's a pairing that I don't normally do. I'll just be able to keep it and then pair it into other stuff that will have pretty much the lineage that we usually do work with, just to have some outcrossing available. Well, it kind of looks like that crested gecko stole the show. That was very unexpected. You know, we got a day 1 gargoyle gecko over here, and now we have like a 20-minute-old crested gecko right there. Very exciting stuff, but let's get back to the track, which is going to be the tokay geckos. You guys can excuse the lighting or the lack of. It's actually somewhere around 10 o'clock right now, but video's got to come out tomorrow, so we got to film it tonight and get it edited for ready. Right, boys and girls, we have finally figured it out. The curse, for some reason, of me not hatching or breeding any tokay geckos is finally over. Probably a huge thanks is going to be these 2x2 Zen Habitats cages. Awesome cages. Again, link down there in the bio if you guys want to get one of these. If you guys are having bad luck breeding tokay geckos, buy one of these bad boys, because it seems to be the magical fix. Funny enough, the first thing that happened was I saw the reduced pattern times normal clutch of eggs, this one right here. Got super stoked. I was like, finally, some eggs going on. This is great. Then I turned my attention to the right side of this cage, where I saw again another clutch of eggs from our green galaxy to normal pairing. Definitely a very special day, a very little special night for me. Super stoked about it. Funny, The eggs didn't look fertile at first, which really, you know, first going for some of these girls, it's not the strangest thing to see. However, I did end up incubating, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. Unless the egg is molding, then I'm gonna keep it in the incubator, and if you have space, I recommend doing the same thing, because I actually can maybe see some veins in one of those little Cheerio, that's what I call them, little Cheerio, red Cheerio going on right there. So hopefully they actually are fertile, but we're just gonna give them some more time, see. If they end up molding, then all I have to do is take them out and toss them, but if they are fertile, then I just saved myself 4 tokay geckos. We're excited for this, so now we've got 2 girls going right now with the green galaxy and the reduced pattern. We just have a couple more left, or I guess a few. The granite times het granite pairing. Of course, the platinums are going to be a pain in the butt. I really... expecting eggs, I guess, would be a little bit of an expectation, but not a high one. If it's gonna come within like this month or even in the year 2023, I very much doubt it. But hey, things can happen, miracles can work, and we might end up with a platinum to het platinum pairing clutch. Of course, we've got that little bit of an oddball female, that really bright colored girl, to Big Red, the gigantic 15+ inch male tokay gecko, which is very exciting. I haven't checked right now. They're actually in the 29 gallons again, where I only had 4 4x2s, and we've got 4 pairs going on, so we are still utilizing some of these tanks for some females that aren't paired, and then some of the pairings, or at least one right now. Hopefully, maybe by this weekend, I might go in there, check it out, see if we got anything. They're pretty much utilizing the same thing, except they have dirt and these guys don't have dirt, because I can do a drainage system, and I can't drill glass because I'm too cheap to buy a diamond drill. Yeah, guys, big W in the chat for old Dakota. We're finally got tokay geckos back on the menu. Very excited, man. This is already, it's not even 2024, and it's already shaping up to be an amazing 2024 season. We still got some little chinks and wiggets that I've got to figure out, the rack system being the biggest one. We've got a couple baby rack systems that should be shipped here, and we're gonna start placing those, getting ready for the massive year we're about to have. Hey, if that wasn't enough gecko content for you, I highly suggest this video right here, or maybe you just want a playlist of all the tokay geckos, videos that we've been making. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time of your day to follow us over here at Dakota Blue Exotic. I will see you guys next time, but until then, goodbye.